It says we are live.
All right.
Go. All right. Hello, and welcome everybody to our, what month is it? April.
Yep.
High5 Live. And I wasn't kidding there, and I know y'all get me on that. It's like, what day is it? What month is it? Almost what year is it? And we are excited to welcome you tonight because it's just important for us to get together and chat and support each other and really stay focused on what's important and what do we want. You know, somebody asked a question, what do you want to be when you come out of staying at home, right? And that's something, it's a question that I've really been thinking about, because I will be the first to admit some of my choices that I've made over the last 45 days, not necessarily the best, in the fact that I've gone back to some of my old behaviors and patterns, just to find some comfort in a very uncomfortable time. And that's not all bad. And now, as I really think about who do I want to be when I emerge from all of this, I am really looking at my choices. All right, so I dove right into that tonight. So my name is, for those of you that may not know me, my name is Barb Moses, and I am the CEO of High5 Leadership. And I am joined tonight by two of our team members. I have Mr. Chad Sneed. Chad is our Chief Operations Officer, Chief Technical Officer. He's the guy that does all the data and gets everything done. Yay, yay, yay. And also joining us tonight is the ever lovely and beautiful Ms. Ronnie Morton. Ronnie is one of our trainers, and excited as always to have her here. We are missing a few of our High5 team members tonight. Most recognizably, Ms. Michelle Fink and Mr. Kevin Fink. So we just want everybody to send Michelle some positive healing vibes. She took a tumble in her basement and she's okay, but she kind of feels like a semi-truck hit her. She's got some bruised ribs and she's got some stitches on her hand and a bruised shoulder. So we'll just send her some love. And I'm not sure if Kevin's just feeling sympathy pains for her or what, but he's not feeling too well today either. So he's probably out there in Facebook land, supporting us that way tonight. And so we just wish them both to feel way, way, way better. And, you know, it's almost actually like a really good
it works.
intro into something that we want to talk about tonight, but we also want to talk about what you want to talk about tonight. So for everybody out there on Facebook, just put in the chat. Chad, I assume you're...
I'm in the chat.
So Chad will monitor the chat. And I know, say that 5 times really fast. And, you know, whatever's on your hearts and minds, let's talk about that tonight. The thing that we came prepared to talk about tonight comes off of a Facebook post. So I reposted somebody else's Facebook post, or shared a Facebook post the other day, and it really touched me. And thinking about what we've been going through with COVID and the economy for the last, 45 days now or so, and all of the conversations about, right, when people are going to go back to work, as things are reopening. I mean, we started to see just a tiny bit of that here in California. And what is that going to look like? And we are starting to hear, and especially as people get more restless because it's dragging on, right? We're starting to hear people really proclaim their feelings and their opinions about how all of this has been happening. And it's okay for them to have their say. And I want us to be aware of the fact that I mean, just the three of us on this call are all looking at this situation from a different perspective, right? So we all have our stories. We all have what we want. I mean, you couldn't have made me happier this week. They reopened the beach for walking and running. That meant so much to me. It probably means not anything to a lot of people, but for me, that was a big deal. And it gave me some sense of, oh, this maybe is a little bit more normal. And but we all look at it different. So I'm going to just share real quick this email because it frames up at least the first part of our conversation tonight. So here it is. As governors are trying to figure out how to ease back into a new normal, please remember, some people don't agree with the state opening. That's okay. Be kind. Some people are still planning to stay at home. That's okay. Be kind. Some are still scared of getting the virus and a second wave happening. That's okay. Be kind. Some are sighing with relief to go back to work, knowing that they may not lose their business or their homes. That's okay. Be kind. Some are thankful they can finally have a surgery that they've put off. That's okay. Be kind. Some will be able to attend interviews after weeks without a job. That's okay. Be kind. Some will wear masks for weeks. That's okay. Be kind. Some will rush out to get the hair or nails done. That's okay. Be kind. The point is, everyone has different viewpoints, feelings, and that's okay. Be kind. We each have a different story. If you need to stay home, but be kind. If you need to go out, just respect others when in public and be kind. Don't judge fellow humans because you're not in their story. So I'm going to say that again. Don't judge fellow humans because you're not in their story. You're in your story, but you're not in their story. We are all in different mental states than we were in 2 months ago. So remember, be kind. You know, and that's what we talk about here at High5, right? We talk about stories. And then we all have our stories. We're all coming from our program. We all see it from a different perspective. And we so often want everybody else to see it from our perspective. And in fact, most of the time we surround ourselves with people who see it from our perspective. And we distance ourselves from people that we don't. And it's just a perspective. And if we could all just allow everyone out there to have their perspective and be okay with it and be kind. Because nothing says that my perspective is right and your perspective is wrong, or vice versa. And when we can truly just show up and stay focused on our outcomes, what's possible? So I want to start with that. I would love to hear from you guys, your thoughts on the topic.
Yeah, it's very interesting to have been observing what's happening, and as you mentioned, as it continues to go, as this COVID situation continues to go along, and the uncertainty hasn't necessarily gone away. So it's been interesting to see how that happens. I mean, there was part of me that towards the beginning, I assumed like, oh, it'll just get easier and easier. I don't know that it's gotten easier as it's gone on. It's gotten different, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, some things that maybe I were worried about a couple weeks ago, I'm not now, and new things show up. And yeah, there's, you know, stories keep showing up and different things happen, and like you said, you know, uncertainty, and as it continues to go on with that uncertainty, it can get really uncomfortable. And I think that's something to really keep in mind with watching how people are behaving or acting is we don't necessarily understand what they're going through. And sometimes it's the one thing that I can control that makes me feel better. If I feel like I can't control anything, and for a lot of this COVID stuff, there's nothing much I can do directly about it. So what can I control? And if it's walking on the beach, as you mentioned, how much that meant to you, that's the kind of stuff that could happen. Maybe it is getting nails done or getting a haircut or something like that, if that's available. It's those little things sometimes that can make a huge difference for someone, because all of a sudden it creates that one little bit of normalcy or whatever we want to call that. And it really is just different perspectives, and what's important to me isn't necessarily important to anybody else, and what's important to someone else doesn't necessarily matter at all to me. And it's not my place to judge that, because it's just different, and it's okay that I don't get it. I don't have to. It doesn't have to. I don't have to understand it. It's just my place to accept it.
Yeah.
And let them be.
I love that. You don't have to understand it to respect.
Respect is a better word. Yeah.
Yeah, you really don't, because I mean I have a tinge of almost guilt over getting so excited about the beach being open, right? And how people might view that, like, hey, really, Barb? I mean, there's so much other stuff going on in the world. And you know what? There is, including in our own business, right? And I could get all wrapped up in that, or I can just get excited about the beach being open. And it's my experience, right? And so if I want people to allow me to have my experience, I got to be willing to allow people to have their experience as well. And right now it all looks different. How about you, Ronnie?
I read that post when you posted it. Was that yesterday? Anyway, whatever day it was. And it really helped me to put things in perspective. And as you both were talking, what popped up for me was, it's not just about COVID. It's about understanding other people's viewpoints just in general, and it's giving me an opportunity to, there's all kinds political, there's all kinds of different perspectives that, and it's okay for someone to have a different perspective. So it's helping me to see that from that perspective, not just about COVID, but it's about other things. It's like, hey, you can think that way, and I can think my way, and my way's okay, and your way's okay. And for me, my way's, I've not always been like, my way's okay. I always think I got to change. I thought, not always, thought I have to change my thinking because, oh, somebody's thinking that's what they're thinking, so I must be wrong or whatever. Well, no, I don't have to be, I'm not wrong. It's my thinking. And we can both have our own thinking and still be kind to one another. So I think being kind to one another is just huge.
Yep. Thank you, Ronnie. And it's exciting to be able to have this experience, practice that, and to see it so clear, because emotions right now are heightened because there's that underlying level of stress. I mean, if anybody out there says that they don't have some extra stress over this, I want to meet them, because I have a hard time believing it. Sure, it's possible. But because of that, right, our emotions get heightened. We do some of what I do. We go back into our programming. We go back into default mode. And so we're not even present and aware. And as a result, we may attack, we may retract, right, and go back into our little shells, versus staying focused on our outcome and really showing up. I have a fun example. And since she posted it on Facebook, I feel pretty confident that I can use this. So one of our friends, Roz Moffat, posted, she asked her two daughters to put a note on their door if they were in class or taking a test, something around school, right? So to not be disturbed. And you talk about two totally different perspectives. One of them was like a piece of art that she drew that had, right, all this, that she was in class, and then the other one said taking tests on a piece of paper she ripped out of a notebook, right, the lined paper in ink with a piece of masking tape stuck to her door. Both served the purpose. There were two ways, there's likely others, but there were two ways to get to the outcome. It didn't matter. And I was like,
Uh-oh.
And
At least she's got kind of like the peace sign going on.
right, yeah.
And a smile.
Yeah, it's always the perfect pose. And she's back.
and I can actually see myself in my delay here on Facebook. All right, so you heard about the two of them though, right?
Yes.
So just two perspectives. And it was just the perfect reminder that there are many ways to get to the outcome. My way is just one way. And as long as I can stay open, the other thing is I can learn other ways. I can learn other perspectives to be able to do that. All right, Ashton, thank you for being here tonight. I was just checking our Facebook.
Yes.
Good stuff. Anything else that you guys want to talk about? I see. Oh, and Ashton, yeah, I said not opening for a while. So the other thing that I really wanted to, that goes hand in hand with this is something called empathy, because that's where a lot of times, right, that kindness comes from, and it's being able, so the definition of empathy, or what a lot of people say, it's being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. But it's not really about being able to put yourself in their shoes. It's about being able to understand their perspective from their shoes. Because if I just put their shoes on and I'm still looking through my own eyes and my own programming, I'm really not going to understand them. But if I can truly slow down and ask them and understand and listen to their perspective, really hear that, that's what being empathetic really means. And the only way we're really going to understand how somebody else is impacted by what's going on, right? By the virus, maybe by losing their job, whatever it is, we can't look at it through our eyes, because then we're still going to see what we see. We've got to be willing and able to look at it through their eyes. And, you know, as we look at things loosening up and things, and some of it not, honestly, how can we slow down just a tad to really connect with people, to speed up or expand our relationship? Because I will tell you, I mean, I know a lot of people that have kids at home, and they're homeschooling, they're working from home, they're having to figure out how to make all of that happen. And it's hard for me. I cannot stand in their shoes because I don't have that. However, if I sit and listen and understand what that's like, and teaching, you know, the 6-year-old how to do something, I'm gonna have a whole lot more empathy for what they're going through and understanding for that. And I thought that was an important distinction, is that it's not about looking at it, not standing in their shoes, looking at it through our eyes. It's standing in their shoes and looking at it through their eyes.
Yeah, it really is. And it's it's a good, what triggered it up for me was kind of adjacent that gets on the path to empathy that sometimes becomes a miss, which is we get really good at mind reading people, and we're almost never right. So we're good at doing it, but we're almost never right about the way we interpret it, because we're using our stories to do the mind read, and it's not their stories. And so what you talked about, you know, a family homeschooling kids and working from home and doing all of that stuff, and they do something that we see in some way, like maybe they post it on Facebook or something, and if I have just a reaction to that, I'm completely mind reading what they're going through, because I really don't have any idea until I do start to look through their perspective of what's happening to even begin to understand what's happening there. And I'm sure anyone can think of a relationship they've been in where you mind read the other person and it didn't work out well for you. I'm sure I did it this week.
Me too.
And that's really it right there. Is it's really about understanding their viewpoint and not mine. And that's where the empathy comes in. And then that's where, I mean, and when I'm being empathetic with someone, I am being kind.
Absolutely. Yeah. So here's a twist. Y'all ready for this one? So I did my homework before this High Five Live tonight. Humans empathize more easily with people similar to themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We do.
Right.
So I can have, it's easier for me to have empathy with you guys because we work together, right? We share values, right? A lot of that, than it is with, could be the person next door that is completely different for me.
Mm-hmm.
That was a bit of a, and it makes perfect sense.
Right.
But who really needs the empathy? All of y'all. Could be you guys, but it's them as well. And so that's going to require me to get outside my comfort zone and really just be with somebody else to be able to understand their perspective.
Yeah, because it's the more shared stories and shared beliefs, the less I have to travel. So the less I'm stepping out of my comfort zone stories into that uncomfortable spot where now I'm looking at things from a completely different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that can happen too is we're also often the most judgmental of people that are similar to ourselves, usually because they exhibit something that we are judgmental on ourselves. We're really looking at ourselves. So it's another place about that kindness. It could be something that I could be reacting to something somebody did, and I'm upset because really I want to do it, or I've already done it. Because that's what we do too.
Interesting. So true, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, being, you know, I think the bottom line of all this is it's a rocky, life is a rocky road, right?
Yeah.
And it's all about what we make it. And for me, it's about just continuing to increase my level of self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to take the look in that mirror and be like, oh, yeah, did I just do that? Because I'm not going to get it right all the time. I don't, a lot. And when I have, and you can recognize the story, can recognize the judgment, that's what gives me the opportunity to learn and to grow and to do something different the next time. And what I have discovered for myself through this time is I have to raise my level of consciousness to stay present so that I don't go back into autopilot, that I don't go back into default mode, because it's easy to do.
Yeah.
I have found, and I've had those moments. Chad has experienced a couple of those over the course of these 6 weeks, in some of our team meetings, and I'll catch myself and be like, oh, wait a minute, that is not how I wanted to show up. That's not how I wanted to react to, and I've had to apologize a time or two. And you know what? That's okay, because it just makes me more and more aware of that, and then grow through it.
Yeah, what I've loved about what's been happening recently, so there is that underlying stress. It's there, and that kind of stuff. So there's certainly new things happening around us, and at the same time, it's also become somewhat limited because of what's happened. So I've been able to become aware of certain stories as they're happening faster, just because in some ways there's less things grabbing my attention.
That's noise.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true.
Really good point, Chad.
I've said it, and I clearly, I don't know if it's true or not, because I wasn't, contrary to might be popular belief, I wasn't around in the 50s, but sometimes it feels like we've taken, like, everything is slowed down, and it's almost like we've taken a step back in time. Well, so it's like the 50s with the internet, I guess. Right. And people are out walking in the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And, people are out on their front porches, you're on their front lawns, and interacting. And it's like, wow, just the reemergence of some family values and taking the time to connect. I mean, people are doing Zoom calls all of the time that they could have been doing and connecting with people across the country before, but more and more connections all the time. So, which I think is really super cool. And honestly, it's a lot of what High5 is about, right? Is stepping back, looking at our life and what really is important in life, and spending our time focusing on those things. So I think that's been a positive of this whole situation.
It really has. I mean, things that, as you mentioned, have been there the whole time and just haven't happened. Every Saturday for the last couple of weeks now, I've had a little video game session with two of my best friends. That was always available to us, but we never were doing it until this happened, and now we are, and now that's something that can continue to go on after whatever all this is. And it's things that were always there, and we just didn't see them.
Yeah. And I think I love that, right? So it's given us an opportunity to shift and change our perspective, things from something else. And so I don't think she's on tonight. I haven't seen her, but I was talking with Carol the other night, and she said, all the times that I said, wouldn't it be nice to have a month off? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, I know, all the times I thought, wouldn't it be nice not to travel so much? It's like, could we just get me on a plane to go do a class somewhere?
Right. Yeah, I know.
Right now. And it's good, right? To be able to just relook at all of those things and what's important to us, and how we show up in the world. So I haven't seen any big questions on Facebook.
No, I have not either. Figure it's good that we talk about a couple other resources we've got out there for people, because this is a tough time, and there's a whole lot of uncertainty going on, and we don't have it all figured out. And we've got a webinar out there about working through these uncertain times and really finding some resources out there. There's a free webinar out there that is really helpful, and we've got a a resource guide out there as well. We call it the Living Your Best Life During a Crisis resource guide, and it's got a lot of tips, and it's incredibly packed full of really good information. Some emotional support if you've had any sort of things happen to you around your job, either hours cuts or furlough or whatever that looks like. It's got some resources around that, some other financial resources and really good information, all of that. And it's just 2 other things that we've got out there right now. I'm going to throw links out in the chat for them that are just available for anybody.
Yeah, I'm
And
glad.
Share them with everyone you know.
And you can find those under the resource tab on our High5 leadership page, website. I want to give a shout out to Jennifer, Rachel, and James, who helped us actually put that resource guide together, because they did an amazing job and they were impacted by what's going on, and they stepped up and helped us put that together to help others, which was really, really, really cool.
Yeah. I know they got a lot out of it too.
Yeah, and and I think that's right. That's always a good thing to mention, is when you help others, you're helping yourself.
Yeah.
And it's a great time to do that. And there's one other thing I wanted to. Oh, and maybe we'll save this for our next High5 Live. I don't know that I'm prepared, but as we really dive in and we start to have more and more people working from home and the whole virtual thing, is how do we build really strong connections virtually, right? How do we tear down the walls? So it's one thing about tearing down a wall or a cubicle wall, right, that might be near in between us, and developing a real relationship, authentic, transparent, trusting relationship at work. But how do you do that virtually? I think that would be a great topic for next time. So yeah. I'm gonna save that one now that I've put that out there into the universe. We'll talk about that. And how do you build a trusting virtual team when this is how they connect? And sure, I mean, right, there's been a lot of people doing happy hours and things, but that's not where true authentic trust gets built. So we'll talk about that. That'll be a fun topic for next time. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up tonight. My request for all of you, so thank you to everybody who joined us tonight. We really, really appreciate it. And just be kind. So recognize that your story is your story, and that the person sitting across from you, they have their own stories, and the person down the street, and the person across the country, and the person halfway across the world. We all have our own stories, and whatever their story is, it's okay. And our job is just to be kind. So we are here for you. We are offering 30-minute free coaching sessions. If you have anything, you got something and you're not sure how to find the positive, please, please, please reach out to us. We're happy to serve you during this time, along with those resources that Chad said. And we're working on some new additional virtual options. We just ran our first Courageous Communication class. I'm sure we'll do that here again soon, as well as a 7-day joyride challenge. You can do that anytime. That is also a resource on our website. And the bottom line is, we're all in this, and we are here for you. Whatever we can do for you, all you got to do is reach out. So thank you for joining us. Ronnie, Chad, thank you much. Anything to add before we sign off?
Yep. So I just threw the free coaching link out in the chat as well. We also have a brand new High5 work from home comfort pack out in our store. It includes a High5 hoodie, a High5 mug, and a High5 mouse pad for a really incredible discount. The pack is already, I think, like 15% off, and through the rest of April, which got a couple days left, we're doing 15% off the entire store and free domestic shipping of any orders over $49. And that makes that new pack 30% off.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
That's a good deal. All right.
It is.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being here tonight. Kev and Michelle, if you're out there watching, feel better, and the rest of our High5 team as well. And we will see you back here next month for our High5 Live. And until then, stay safe and continue to choose joy, because it's not about choosing joy when it's easy. We all did that a couple of months ago. It's about choosing joy when it's not easy. And you will find that's where the true authentic joy lives, is choosing joy when it's not easy. All right, guys, have an incredible night, and we will see you next month. Bye.
Bye.